Speed kills when you're talking about lacrosse. And when we're looking at training speed, there's a couple different things that we can do. I like to initially think about using sled pushes a little bit further out from the season. So let's say that we're 8 months out, okay, or 6 months out, or even 4 months out from the season. What we can do is we can do things like sled pull backward and sled push. And when we're pushing, we want to teach the athlete to keep their ankle stiff and drive and extend here, and this is going to transfer to acceleration. So we can just focus on those mechanics, focus on the big drive from the quad, from the glutes, while we're keeping that ankle nice and stiff. When we pull backwards, this is gonna blow up my quads. Now, as we get closer to the season, we can put on a harness or a belt, and then we can run with, let's say, 50% of our body weight. Go nice and easy when you first start doing that. So now let's say that we're 10 weeks out from the season. For 2 to 4 weeks, we run with 50% of our body weight. And you do that once or twice a week. Then when we're about 6 to 4 weeks, so we're going down closer to the season, you can go down to about 10% of your body weight. Do 5 to 8 sprints twice a week. And that's how we can progress through loading up speed specifically for lacrosse. I'm gonna finish this and we're gonna give you more speed exercises that you can use to improve your speed out on the lacrosse field. Oh, that was good. So one of the big aspects also around speed is that lacrosse players have to have crazy endurance, okay? And when we're training professional lacrosse player, part of Team USA, Ryan Tarafenko, NCAA All-American, one of the things that we try to work on, one, how can we get him as strong as possible? How can we get him as explosive as possible? But two, we need to look at, can he run a 6:30 mile or less, okay? If we know that he can do that, he's gonna be able to implement repeated effort with top end speed and with acceleration. So if we're constantly focused on building that aerobic capacity, that will also lead to better speed. It's not the best thing for speed, but it's something that's gonna transfer really well over to the field. Now let's get into some of the big warm-ups that we can use before we even build out further with those speed exercises. All right, so we talked about when we were doing the sled, applying a lot of pressure in through the ankle, okay, here, into the knee, into the hip. So think about one thing you can do as a warm-up, is that if you're preparing for a speed session with lacrosse, okay, let's use a sled like this, right? Or we can use a wall, anything like that. We want to get into a position here and try to think about driving, okay? So I almost want to like lift this up. We can hold 1, 2, 3, poof. 1, 2, 3, poof. 1, 2, 3, poof. And when we're doing that, think about that knee almost up to the chest, holding dorsiflexion in the ankle here. So then we can flip, apply pressure back down, and you'll even feel a little bit of that co-contraction with that hip lock in through here, okay? So we'll have hip flexion and then applying force down into the ground. This is a good warm-up. It's good to feel those positions and prime the nervous system. Now, the next thing that we can do is just get into a position here, hold, 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 boom. Hold, 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 boom. And I'm trying, this is tough. I'm actually trying to be super stable. One thing I really like to do with our speed guys is some trunk work when we're warming up. So if you notice there, I'm falling a little bit off balance. If I'm just going here, boom, 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 okay? Those hip switches are tough, but they're a great way to warm up. Next thing we can do, just some hip switches over some hurdles with a little bit of a skip. And I'll show you 2 variations. We can go here, boom, 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 okay? Now, if you don't have those hurdles, you can come back over here, and after you do the static hip switch, okay, we can go here. Now that's more of a top end speed position. Okay, so when we were holding that ISO, that's gonna be more acceleration. When we go into that static position with the hip switch, it's gonna be a great warm up. When we add the skips, that's gonna be more at top end speed. But they're all good warm ups to just get everything rolling, to get that heart rate rolling, and to feel some explosiveness, which will transfer the good speed. All right, so these next 2 drills are freaking phenomenal for speed. And I'm gonna show you, they're gonna be more like a plyometric drill, but they transfer really, really well to acceleration. So we wanna focus on what we're trying to accomplish here, which is acceleration and that short contact time. So when we have a short contact time, if we can learn how to apply a massive amount of force during that contact period that is shorter, that's when we have higher velocity, okay? It comes down to applying a lot of force equals a return of high velocity. Okay, that's why the force velocity curve is stupid, because there's not an inverse relationship between force and velocity. Now, if we get into this situation here, let's say we do 3 skater squats, okay? So I'm gonna prime this leg. I'm gonna go here, 1, come through, and I even like to feel that hip there, okay? 2, come down, and then the third one, I'm gonna come down, and if you see, I have the hurdles here. I can get into a situation where I'll go hurdle hop, and my goal is that when I get to the box, I'm gonna land on my right leg and try and hold that hip lock position, so I'm gonna switch. This is really hard, especially for me, because my right leg sucks. Now, let's go here, boom, 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 okay? So you can go through this like 2 times on each leg, rest a little bit, do 5 drills, okay, 5 sets through. Now, we've got stair jumps here. I'm gonna do these single leg. When we look at something like lacrosse, we're playing a long game. Okay, there's a lot of running, 5 to 7 miles a game. So you have to have that aerobic capacity. There's also a lot of intervals. Sprint, stop, sprint, stop, sprint, stop, okay? So we accelerate quite a bit. So when we're looking at acceleration, we're gonna have a little bit of chest lean, and we gotta think drive, 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 okay? Put a lot of force into the freaking ground so that we can get a lot of force back, okay? That's what, is that Newton's second or third law? I can't remember. Okay, yeah, maybe second. Okay, so, so what we're gonna do here is a single leg stair jump, all right? And I'm gonna show you an example where my right leg sucks, my left leg's decent. So if I go right leg, boom, 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 okay? I can get about two steps at a time. Now I'm not as warmed up on my right leg because I just did that. But that's gonna show me how I cycle with that right leg. So if we do this on like stadium steps, that's gonna help with that speed, okay, with that acceleration. And as an athlete or as a coach, you can look at it, somebody like myself, and be like, okay, his right leg's not as powerful, so in his running mechanics, we've gotta be aware of what his right side is doing when he's actually running. Now with my left side, if I can keep that moving, same thing here, boom, boom. Oh, that was terrible. I got a little bit further, but we gotta think about contact time, okay? During that contact time, apply a massive amount of force. Use these 2 drills, you can almost superset them, okay? And think about how they apply to acceleration. Now, these are some of the exercises that we use inside of our strength training app, Peak Strength. You guys can go into Peak Strength, select that you want to train for lacrosse, and you'll get a specific strength training program for lacrosse. It's going to help improve your speed, it's going to help improve your strength, it's going to help improve that power output, which in turn will lead to better domination out on the field. Go to peakstrength.app, the Google Play Store or the Apple iOS Store. Now, the last exercise that you can use is going to be repeated hill sprints. Hill sprints are phenomenal, 1 for increasing acceleration and learning how to drive, okay? But for 2, we can do that on short rests or about a minute, minute and a half rest and try and increase our aerobic capacity. So if we go out and we go like 12 sets of 20-meter hill sprints, okay, and we do that with about a minute and a half rest, that's gonna help with our speed, but it will help us with that endurance as well, okay? So I love hill sprints for 2 different reasons, and a lot of that comes back to how you apply force, how you drive forward, and how you can recover within those sprint intervals. I would only recommend doing hill sprints about once a week because it can lead to a decent amount of fatigue, and we've got to make sure that we're periodizing everything we're doing out on the field and what we're doing in the weight room, okay? So head over to peakstrength.app, the Google Play Store, the Apple iOS Store. You can download Peak Strength today. Get that program specific for lacrosse. It's gonna give you 5 free workouts because remember, freaks, if you wanna become a champion, you've always gotta cultivate your power. Peace.